you've been experiencing than what you've been experiencing so far. This one is much more about looking inside than looking outside at the landscape and all the sort of techniques that you would use on a regular basis as operators. But let me just share with you a couple of pages, and believe it or not, we're actually going to do 2 guided meditations today. I'm going to help you to learn how to meditate. By the end of this, I'm pretty sure you'll be able to do that for at least a few minutes. So let me just share with you a couple of pages just to talk you through some of the theory. And first of all, just a little bit about me. As Usman said, my family and I came over to Australia as refugees from Vietnam many years ago now. I happen to be a partner and co-founder of a venture capital firm that is based in Singapore, which invests in startups across the region, including in Australia. We mainly invest in B2B startups in data, SaaS, AI, at what is known as Series A and Series B. I'm sure you'll learn what that means in due course if you're not across what they are already. Our first fund was $50 million US, and our current fund is $100 million US, and we mainly invest, at those stages. We've made 25 investments now since launching in 2015. And out of the 25, 6 are in Australia. The rest are mainly in Southeast Asia, India, and a couple of investments in Europe as well. I've been a mindfulness teacher since 2007, so more than 10 years teaching mindfulness. And apart from teaching mindfulness to groups such as this group and, StartMate and a whole range of other groups, I'm also mentoring and have also been mentoring on a one-to-one basis founders and investors in the startup space in relation to advanced mindfulness. So it's folks who've been, sitting in meditation for a few years and have a practice. And, my work with them is to deepen that practice. And I'm also an investor and mentor at StartMate. I've been a part of StartMate since, I think, 2012, 2013. And it's regarded as, one of Australia's leading tech accelerators. And I'm so, delighted to be able to bring this work to you. And I feel it's really important. And you may be asking yourselves, why? Why is this particularly important for founders? Well, for a few reasons. I think, the first thing is that this journey, this founder's journey, is a long journey. And it's a long journey with many, many unknowns. And I find that a mindfulness practice and a practice of developing and cultivating self-awareness is really helpful for helping to manage one's self through so much unknown, so that you're able to sit in the unknown more comfortably. And in a manner of speaking, be comfortable in the unknown. What do I mean by that? Well, let's say that you're a non-technical founder and your CTO leaves and you're looking for, another, technical co-founder to join you. Your initial gut reaction may be, hey, I need to solve this problem super quickly. I'm finding it really hard to navigate this space. I don't have the tools to do that. And, when you're in that type of cycle, more often than not, you're operating in fear. And essentially all you want to do is plug the problem as quickly as possible. And that may lead to suboptimal outcomes, right? You might forget about things like your longer term vision and alignment behind that vision, those values, right? All of these things that are really important along the way in relation to not only where you're landing, but the journey as well. And so I'm not saying that mindfulness is going to help completely resolve this type of issue. What I am saying is that you might be able to take a breath during those times. Give yourself more space and time. Acknowledge the fact that there is some fear there. Accept the fact that, it's there, and take that into account, but not be fully bought into the fear and fully bought into having to resolve that fear right there and then, beyond integrating all the other things that are important to you. That's one reason why it can be helpful and important. The other reason is that as founders, you're leading people, you're leading teams, you're leading organizations. And in my experience in investing in companies, and, we have some companies that are, 800 plus people now, right? And they started at, 2 people, 3 people. And so what I've noticed is that as companies grow, the ceiling for the growth of those companies tends to be the ceiling of self-development of the leadership. Whether it's the CEO or that leadership group, that tends to be, the company will evolve as far as the leadership evolves, right? So mindfulness can be a fantastic tool for self-awareness and providing a loop for reflection. I'm sure you guys all know about validation and those sort of things now. Imagine your own, method of reflection and validation somewhat, and mindfulness being a tool for that. So hopefully that gives you a couple of reasons why this is helpful and important, and not least of which is, this is a pretty tough journey, and being able to take a breath is so important. And I'll use this analogy, and I've used this analogy before, which is, this thermos that I'm holding here, if I'm holding it just for, 10 minutes, it's not that heavy. But if I have to hold this thermos for a week, a month, a year, right, it does become very, very heavy. And what we're doing with this type of meditation that I'm teaching you, quite simply, is putting this thermos down for even 5 minutes, just to sit and breathe with nothing else to do. It's almost like a mental holiday. What happens? Well, you're not resolving anything. This is still here, but when you pick it up again, it doesn't feel quite so heavy. Okay? And so in the beginning of teaching the basics of this type of meditation, that's all we're trying to do. Giving ourselves the space and time and permission just to breathe. Cool? Makes sense? And so I've been teaching this for many years now, and these pages are from a series of sessions that I did with Blackbird Ventures earlier this year in April and May. We did like a week of mindfulness where folks could just sort of join in. I'd take them through some theory, and then we'd do some guided meditation, which I'm going to take you through today. And so we're going to do 2 of them, one short one to begin with, and then a longer one at the end, slightly longer. It's not going to be too long. All good? Cool. All right. Okay. So let me take you through the process first. You don't need to do it now. I'll walk you through it when we start, but let me just talk you through what we'll do. So the method of meditation that I'm going to teach you is super simple and super, I've made it as easy as possible to do. You don't need to sit cross-legged on the floor. You don't need to lie on the floor. You can just sit in your chair. But the way that I would like you to sit in your chair later, you don't need to do it now, is to use your chair like a stool. Right? Sit in the front half of your chair so that you're not sort of, resting on the backrest, just sitting at the front, and you'd have your feet flat on the floor, and back is straight, shoulders relaxed, and your palms on your thighs facing upwards like this, or you can have them in your lap, kind of clasped like this, which is how I tend to do it. And you would tuck your chin in and either close or soften your eyes. And what you would then do is simply breathe. Breathe in and out. It's pretty easy. And what I want you to do, and I'll talk you through it. All you need to do is actually to listen to my voice when we start the process, is I just want you to notice breathing in and breathing out. You'll breathe in through the nose and breathe out through your mouth, right? With a sense of lightness, but quite deeply and fully, but with ease, not like forcing or straining, simply breathing in and out, in through the nose, out through the mouth. And there are 2 ways that you can do this. We as adults typically use, thoracic breathing, which is kind of breathing into our chest and then breathing out. Babies, you may notice, breathe into their bellies. You can, notice their bellies rising and falling with each breath. And that's called diaphragmatic breathing. And apparently opera singers also breathe that way. And the reason why that's helpful is that you can breathe much deeper as a result. And so, you don't need to do it on this session. I'm just sharing with you that when I'm sitting in meditation, that's how I breathe. The advanced students that I'm working with, that's how they're breathing. And the way that you would do it is you just imagine that your belly is like a balloon, and you're inflating your belly with the in-breath and deflating your belly with the out-breath. In reality, of course, you're not breathing into your belly, you're still breathing into your lungs. But what's happening is that your diaphragm is rising and falling, allowing you to take in much more air than you usually would. But for today, just breathe as you normally do, but with a sense of ease and lightness, gently and fully in and out. And I'll talk you through it. Cool. All right. And so what are we doing? Well, actually, that's it. There's a lot more theory behind it. I'm going to talk you through it. But really, we're just sitting and breathing and being with nothing else to do. And the reason why this is important is this is one of the few times in your life where you're going to be relaxed, alert, aware, no fight or flight, right? You have everything that you need. You're safe, you're warm, but you're awake. You're not asleep. It's not meant to be a woolly experience where, your senses are dulled. No, your senses are just as sharp as they are right now, but you're giving yourself permission to do nothing else but to sit and breathe. And why that's interesting is that when you do that and you zoom into the present moment, into like the nanosecond of the present moment, you will for sure notice different details. You'll notice the fine details of what's going on when you breathe, such as the coolness of the air when you breathe in and the warmth of the air as you breathe out. You'll notice everything kind of slowing down. You might even notice that there's more space in between things, right? When you slow down and do nothing else but sit and breathe. And it's a very interesting sensation. Now, we've talked about posture. We've talked about the breath and slowing down and noticing the breath. And the other thing that we're slowing down and noticing is the body, this vessel that we're experiencing life in, right? And using the breath and using the body as, anchors in mindfulness. What does it mean? It means that in mindfulness, in the mindfulness practice that I'm going to teach you, what we're going to do is first of all notice the breath, and then notice the body from top to toe, right? Because look, I don't know how you guys feel normally during the day, but I feel like a floating mind cloud. I'll go through the day, I could I might not even eat lunch sometimes until like 3 or 4 o'clock. And I'm like, oh no, I haven't even eaten today. And I'm just this floating mind cloud with my shards of attention in 100 different places, right? Why did I just say that? Or why did they just say that? Or, oh no, this is coming up. I better get ready for that. Or did I leave the iron on? Did I leave the oven on? What am I going to have for dinner tonight? Right? All these things. And what we do with mindfulness is bring all of that attention back to the breath and back to the body as anchors to remember, hey, this is where we are right here and now. This is the vessel within which we're experiencing the world, right? And so we use that as our anchors. And what we do then is we let thoughts in the mind to come and go. So we know that there are thoughts there. We're not trying to stop them. In fact, in my experience, I can't, right? All I'm doing is allowing those thoughts to simply come and go. I'm breathing and I'm noticing my breath and I'm noticing my body. Because if I tell you to stop thinking about something, that tends to be the first thing that you think about. So if I tell you to not, don't think of elephants, you'll probably start thinking about elephants as the very first thing. So it's not possible to stop these thoughts coming and going from your mind. What we want to do is actually just simply allow those thoughts to rush by, just like water rushing by in a stream. There's no need to try and stop your thoughts. This is probably the most common question that I get in relation to meditation. Oh, I can't really meditate because I can't really stop my thoughts. Well, you don't need to. You don't need to stop those thoughts. In fact, I can't. But what I can do is just imagine that these thoughts are like trains coming and going from the train station, right? And what I'm doing here metaphorically is not getting on one of those trains, not going down one of those rabbit holes, like, why did I say that yesterday? I wish I hadn't, then this wouldn't have happened. And the story that the mind is so good at generating. What we want to do is basically say, whenever we notice ourselves doing that, which is very normal, very natural, and will happen multiple times in any meditation, including for me, right? All we do is simply let that thought go and simply come back to the breath and breathe in and out. We simply let it go and come back to the breath. It's like coming back to Central Station, right? And allowing those thoughts just to continue to come and go. Does that make sense so far? Yeah, so we're not trying to stop any thoughts. We can't really stop them. We're simply allowing them to come and go. They can come and go as they please, but we're focusing on the breath and we're focusing on the body. Cool. Now, a typical part of the meditation teaching that I do is that after we get to settle down into the breath, into the body, I tune your awareness to the gratitude that is sitting in here, right? Imagine that there is a radio dial of your own, awareness, and I'm simply tuning that radio dial to station gratitude that is always sort of being, broadcast from here. Now, I know for a fact that you feel grateful for the people in your life, you know, your family, your friends, your colleagues, XYZ, right? I know that's the case. And all I'm doing is tuning you to that gratitude that is already there. I can't really make you feel what you don't already feel. But what I'm going to do is bring your awareness to it, to notice the gratitude that is there, to notice the gratitude for the people in your life, notice, you know, the gratitude that you have for the world around you and how it's supporting you. And I find that for a lot of founders, you know, this is a really energizing part of the meditation for them, because, you know, oftentimes as founders, it's quite easy to live in this mode of scarcity, right? Funds are scarce, time is scarce, there's so much to do. And to reflect on all of and be grateful for all of the things that are there to support you, me, us, right, can oftentimes be quite energizing. So that's a very usual and normal part of my meditation practice that I teach. Okay, what does it feel like? I get this question all the time too. For me, it feels like resting in the cool shade of a tree. That's what it feels like. It doesn't feel sleepy for me. And, you know, if you're sort of in meditation and you're feeling sleepy, it's probably because you're already sleepy and probably just need to go to sleep. But when I'm sitting, whether it's for a short period, 5-10 minutes, or whether it's for a longer period, an hour, 2 hours even, you know, I won't feel sleepy at all. Actually, it just feels like it says here, this is the best way that I could describe it, like resting in the cool shade of a tree, at least for a few minutes, right? At least for a few minutes where I don't have to worry about, you know, the next email, the next phone call, the next Zoom call, the next build, the next whatever it might be, right? Those things will still be there. It's absolutely fine. They will still be there. But see if you can give yourself permission for a couple of minutes to set that aside and, you know, nourish your body by simply sitting and breathing. Cool. Ready? Yes? A couple of nods? Maybe? Okay, let's begin. So I want you to sit. This is only going to be a short meditation. I want you to sit at the front of your chair, feet flat on the floor, back is nice and straight, adjusting. And you can adjust even once I've started. You can adjust as you need to. Shoulders relaxed, palms on your thighs or in your lap like this. Back is nice and straight. Shoulders relaxed. Chin slightly tucked in. Eyes closed or softened. And breathing in and out. In and out. Gently, deeply and fully in your own time. Breathing in and out. Gently, deeply and fully in your own time, with a sense of ease and lightness, and listening to my voice and simply breathing in and out. Back is nice and straight, shoulders relaxed. Very good. Slowing down, allowing thoughts in the mind to simply come and go. Right now, give yourself permission to simply sit and breathe with nothing else to do. Slowing down and noticing the breath, noticing the cool of the air as you breathe in and the warmth of the air as you breathe out. Allowing yourself to let go of thoughts of the future and thoughts of the past. They will still be there in time to come. Instead, give yourself permission to just breathe. Back is nice and straight, shoulders relaxed, breathing in and out, allowing thoughts in the mind to simply come and go, settling into the breath and noticing the breath, and settling into the physical space in which you're occupying right here and now. Breathing in and out, back is nice and straight, shoulders relaxed. Noticing the muscles in your forehead, around your eyes, your ears, your cheeks, your lips and your chin, and seeing if you can give permission for those muscles to relax as you're breathing in and out. Noticing the muscles in your neck and shoulders, giving permission for those muscles to relax, and noticing the muscles in your back, your upper back, your middle back, right down to your lower back as you're breathing in and out. Very good. In through the nose, out through the mouth, allowing thoughts in the mind to simply come and go. Noticing your arms by your side, the tops of your arms, right down to your elbows and forearms, wrists and palms right through to your fingertips. Breathing in and out, allowing thoughts in the mind to come and go. And noticing the chair underneath you and where it's supporting you. See if you can feel where and how it's supporting you as you're breathing in and out. And noticing your legs, your thighs, your knees, your shins, your calves, your ankles. Breathing in and out. Back is nice and straight. Shoulders relaxed, allowing thoughts in the mind to simply come and go. Right now, all you're doing is sitting and breathing, noticing the breath and noticing the body, the physical space in which you're in right now. As you're breathing, see if you can notice your feet on the floor and maybe even gently press against the floor with the balls of your feet and feel the floor underneath you. Breathing in and out. Very good. Back is nice and straight. Shoulders relaxed. And now sending this message, not from your mind, but from your heart, almost as if your heart had lips to speak these words, holding in your heart one person in your life with each breath, and then the next person, and then the next person, and then the next, sending to them this message. Thank you. Thank you for your place in my life. I wish for you peace and happiness. Thank you. Thank you for your place in my life. I wish for you peace and happiness. Thank you. Thank you for your place in my life. I wish for you peace and happiness. Family, friends, colleagues, acquaintances. Thank you. Thank you for your place in my life. I wish for you peace and happiness. Very good. And sending this message now, again, from your heart, not from your mind, but from your heart to your body. This message of thank you. Thank you for carrying me this long, long, long way. Thank you for doing all the things that were needed to be done. I wish for myself peace and happiness. I allow myself to receive all the support that the world is wanting to give to me. Three more deep breaths. Three more deep breaths in your own time. Very good. In your own time, as you're ready, opening your eyes and coming back to the room in your own time. Very good. Very, very, very good. You all did very, very well. I wonder how you feel. You know, we meditated there for a few minutes, and probably something like 5 minutes or so. And I'm sure for you, it felt like it went pretty quickly, particularly for those who haven't been in meditation before. And it's just a simple exercise, as you can tell. It's just breathing. But the interesting and important thing is that you're giving yourself the permission, the space and the time to nourish yourself and to do that. Most people who do that meditation, it's a very simple one. We'll do a longer one at the end of this. Feel energized afterwards, right? Feel better for having done it. And there's an interesting saying within meditation, which is that, you know, we tend to do it least when we need it the most. So the meditation itself is relatively simple. It's easier with somebody else sort of guiding you through it. And I'll send through a link with some free guided meditations online for you after this session as well. But the difficult part, though simple but difficult, is to give yourself the space and time and permission to do that. Now, I usually like to sort of stretch after a meditation, so please feel free to do that if you want to. And if you have some water nearby, have a sip of water. Some folks can get a bit thirsty after a meditation. And again, we'll do one more, right? Yeah, after this. And thank you for all the comments as well. Love it. All right, now I've told you about meditation and the process of it, and all those sort of things. But what's really happening? What's happening is much more than just sitting and breathing. What's really happening is this. What's happening is that we're acknowledging that there is a breath, that the breath is there to give you life. And we're acknowledging this thing that we take for granted all the time. And it's so beautiful, right? I know that you notice the cool of the air as you breathe in and the warmth of the air as you breathe out. And it would be weird, of course, in day-to-day life if all that we did was just constantly, did that. But meditation is a great time for us to slow down and to acknowledge that that breath is there. Of course, we're not only acknowledging the breath, but we're acknowledging the body, grounding ourselves in the body. What we did just then is what is known in mindfulness as a body scan. And a body scan can be as quick or as slow as you like. And it's basically scanning your body literally from top to toe and noticing, right? Noticing how does my skin feel? How does my head feel? How do my shoulders feel, right? And what we're doing then is we're acknowledging, we're casting our awareness and our consciousness on our breath, on our body. We're also doing that with our mind as well. Even though we're allowing our thoughts to come and go and we're not attaching ourselves to those thoughts, and when we do, we let that thought go and come back to the breath and come back to the body, we're acknowledging that those thoughts are there, that they're happening, right? And in the gratitude meditation that I just took you through, we're acknowledging our heart, our emotions, our gratitude that sits in here. Make sense so far? Right? So there is what we're doing. And indeed, the best things in life tend to be free. What can happen in meditation is this. Imagine that brain here, supercomputer here, is running at volume number 11. It's loud. I know that you know that it's loud. I know that you hear it too. It's like, should do this, should do that, right? And it's super loud. And during the day, it's very, very loud. And what's happening is that our bodies are trying to tell us something as well. Hey, I'm hungry, I'm tired. Our heart might be wanting to try to tell us something too. How do you feel emotionally about whatever's going on? Your gut instinct might even be trying to tell you something as well. Hey, this doesn't feel quite right. I want to let you know something. But because this is on at volume 11, because we're not still, because we have things to do, right? We can't hear often what's going on in the body. I just told you about, the example, and I'm sure it's happened to you before, where the body is hungry, but you don't even notice, and you just work through to like 4 or 5 in the afternoon. Well, similar things are happening in terms of your emotions and in terms of your gut instinct that's there as well. And what's wonderful about mindfulness meditation, when we give ourselves the space and time to simply slow down, you might hear those things that are volume 2 because you're quietening what's in here. You're turning it down from volume 11 because you're detaching from it, and you're then able to hear what else might be going on inside. So that's a wonderful side benefit of doing this work. And as you slow down, you might even notice, right, a spaciousness that is there inside. I know, sometimes I just feel like, hey, I'm just full. My brain is full. Brain can't take anymore. It's taken in a lot of stuff during the day, and it's now just completely full. And what I do notice when I'm able to sit and slow down is, I notice this spaciousness that is there inside. When we slow down, it's kind of like, when you're sort of zooming into whatever that, thread might be, right? Whether you're editing a video or audio, you might know what I mean. And when you zoom in, everything sort of like expands, right? A bit longer, and you might find some spaces in between. So I noticed that, after doing this for a while, and it doesn't actually take that long for you to start to notice, but there is a spaciousness in slowing down. There's a spaciousness in stillness. And there's also a spaciousness of letting go of the thoughts that are here in our mind. Thoughts typically of the past, things that have already happened, thoughts of the future, things that have yet to happen. And there can be great space that's freed up when you sort of defrag in that way. What you might also notice is, other parts of the self that are going on inside. These are the parts of myself that I'd like to share with you. So this is not a picture of me, but when I look inside, this is what I see of the child that's within. This is my son. He's now 15 years old, but this is when he was, I think, 4 or so. And when I look inside, this is the picture of me that I see. And I see that child within. There's a part of me that's super curious, that just wants to play, wants to build, wants to create, wants to be heard, but also might be afraid, right? And also feels like it needs to be looked after as well. And that part of you inside, I know for myself, is there. Whether I acknowledge it or not, it's there. It's trying to get out. And from time to time, to be able to acknowledge and hear that part that is inside is super helpful. Now, this part I'm sure you've heard. I'm hearing it all the time. I'm sure you hear it all the time as well, which is there is also an inner critic that is sitting inside that says stuff like, I'm not good enough. I'm an imposter. I shouldn't be here. I don't deserve to be here. Someone will find me out. I'm not as good as this person, that person, and that person. I'll only be happy when I do better, or I'll only be happy when I do this and this and this, and I haven't done enough to deserve happiness. I'm sure you know that voice. I'm sure you know exactly how that voice sounds like and how that feels. And interestingly, when we sit in mindfulness, when we sit in meditation, we can hear that voice as well, because we've turned everything else down and we can hear it. And what's interesting about the mindfulness work that I do is that there's actually nothing to do there. We're simply sitting with that voice. Imagine like that voice is like a person inside, and we're simply sitting next to it and acknowledging, in a metaphorical sense, that that's there, right? It might be the way that some people motivate themselves. It might be trying to tell us something. It's not that we should completely buy into everything that it's saying, but just to acknowledge that it's there can be so helpful. And you might even find that the inner critic starts to then realize, maybe I don't need to speak so loudly, and because I know that I'm being heard. These are the things that come up in mindfulness meditation all the time. The other aspect is that you might notice in doing this type of meditation, since you're quiet, since you might hear parts of self that want to be heard or have been wanting to be heard, you might notice that the mind tends to have patterns. even though you're not getting on any of those trends, you might see where they're going, to labor the analogy. So, you might notice that a lot of what's going on in here is a rejection of the past, or a yearning for the past, or a grasping of the future. I wish it was here earlier. I wish, I could have this right now, or even a fear of the future. I'm scared of, this happening in the future. You might notice that these thoughts are very much there. And by the way, it's very normal and very natural. And everybody thinks like this. I certainly do. What's wonderful about these tools and techniques of mindfulness are that it helps to bring you back into right now, into the present moment, because as far as I understand, I can only do in the moment, right here and now. And even if I'm thinking about the future, I can only really plan right here and now, right? Otherwise, I'm just planning to plan. And I can choose to, if I want to, I can choose to give myself permission to let go of the past, to let go of my grasping for the future. I can choose to, and some people do this, some people are sort of waiting to exhale. They're kind of like, I'm going to exhale when I arrive here. Once I achieve this, once I do this. But you can actually, in the moment, give yourself permission to choose to exhale right here and right now, and simply breathe right here and right now. And maybe even try that as an experiment to see what that means to you, how that feels to you to be able to do that. Now, in context of work, for the folks that work with me, this is what I get them to do, on a daily basis, okay? And I'd love for you to, if you're open to it, trying it and seeing how it works. So in between Zoom calls or meetings, see if you can take 3 or 4 deep breaths, kind of just what we did, but 3 or 4 deep breaths in between one Zoom call and the next. Okay. Now, I've told you about my floating mind cloud, and I'm sure quite a few of you have similar experiences as well. And hopefully, what that does is bring your attention back to the here and now, so that you're present for the next call, right? See if you can try that just as an experiment. See how that feels. And the interesting thing is this: 3 or 4 breaths probably takes only 20 seconds max. I wonder what it says about me and my own relationship to myself if I can't give myself permission to set aside time for 20 seconds to breathe in between one meeting and the next. What does it say about my, need to please? What does it say about my, putting everything else before myself? What does it say about my relationship with me and how I look after myself, right? And so the exercise is simple. It's 3 or 4 deep breaths, but it can tell you a lot about how you're thinking about your own relationship with yourself and where you put yourself, right? So try it as an experiment. The other thing is, in the work context, there are oftentimes going to be disagreements, and that's very, very normal to happen. And for the folks that work with me, what I get them to do is, when they notice this happening, to actually slow down the conversation. Not like weirdly, so it's like really, really slow, but just to take the heat out of the conversation by slowing down. Because in arguments tend to be like this. Right, that kind of like build into a crescendo, right? That's typically how it works. And what's happening, at least on some level, is that the person on the other side wants something to push against, right? Wants it, the argument needs opposition in order for it to continue. And it's a great experiment to see what happens when you slow down, when you take the air out of the argument and say, actually, I'm going to give myself a space between the stimulus and the response. And I'm going to give myself space so that I can choose how to respond. So I'm listening to what's being said. I'm breathing, right? I'm looking to evolve beyond fight or flight, right? And I could still choose to react in the same way that I always have. Normal, fine. There's nothing wrong with that. I could choose a different way. I could choose to take into account what's being said and see if I can build something from that takes in the input from there and my own input, and see if we can build something new out of that. I don't know. In fact, it doesn't matter what the answer is. There's actually no right or wrong answer. But what's important is You're giving yourself space and time to make a choice rather than having existing patterns that have been ingrained in the body and in the mind over a long period of time to make the choice for you. Right? You know, if someone presses your button, you could absolutely choose to press right back. But if you slow down and give yourself the space and time, you're making a real choice. And one of these times you might choose something different, you know, from an existing pattern. All right. And that's evolving your sense of, you know, self-awareness. Okay. Now, the last thing to practice to do is to check in with yourself during the course of the day and simply ask yourself this question: how am I feeling right now? Physically feeling. How am I physically feeling right now? And for the folks that work with me, I get them to ask themselves that question 2 or 3 times a day. Now, there are very interesting aspects to this exercise. The first one is, what systems do you use to remind yourself to do this? Some people have like a rubber band around their wrist. Some people set an alarm. Some people say lunchtime and dinner. Whatever it is, it doesn't matter. The interesting part is, you know, how have you figured out that system to remind yourself to do this? Why is that important? Well, as you evolve beyond your normal fight or flight mechanism that's here, particularly in cases of conflict, in the beginning, you won't realize until afterwards. It's like, oh, shit, I shouldn't have said that. But I know that that wasn't quite right. And next time I'm going to, like, you know, catch it in the moment, right? And let me tell you a story. I had a friend who, lovely person, and didn't realize that there was this joke that he was telling that was kind of racist, right? And when I told him about it, he was horrified, right? And he'd just been telling this joke for like 10 plus years. And, you know, it was just, you know, just told him, you know, actually that's pretty inappropriate. And he was very apologetic and said, oh, you know, thank you for letting me know, I'm not going to do it anymore. So anyway, you know, we're at a gathering, and he says the joke, you know, it's kind of like just like a normal reflex action. And then afterwards he's like, oh my goodness, I'm so sorry. Right. And he swore never to say it again. We're at another gathering, maybe a few months later, and he is about to say something, and then he just stops himself. He just stops himself and he's like, oh, okay. And he told me later on, I was about to say that joke that I have been telling for the last 10 years. But as I became more aware of it, I could catch myself in real time in the moment, and I stopped myself from doing it, and I evolved beyond my, you know, habitual self. Okay. That's why these systems are helpful and important, and we all have our own systems and we all figure out our own way. But the system part of the process is helpful. The other part of the process is, as you're asking yourself the question, you're basically you're acknowledging your body, and you're grounding yourself back into your body. Simply asking yourself the question, how am I feeling right now? And the answer doesn't require any thought. You don't need to think about how you feel really physically. You feel whatever it is. You feel hangry, you feel tired, whatever it might be. And for the folks that work with me, they typically, you know, write it down or put it in their notepad. And it's not about the answer. It's about asking the question, right? And expressing it, right? Writing it down, and you can analyze it afterwards. But the part of the practice that's important is simply asking the question. Just like in meditation, the important part of the practice is simply by sitting and doing it. All of this theory underneath is helpful. I think it's good for you to understand what the theory is, but it's much more important just to simply sit and do it. Cool? Got some nods. Okay, good. Good to hear. Okay, now I promised you that we would be doing, and by the way, I will be sharing these slides. So as Usman said, there's no need to take any notes. But I promised you another guided meditation. So if you're ready for it, we're going to dive into that meditation. All good? Ready? Nods? Okay. All right. Now, you guys know how to sit, right? So sitting forward in your chair, using your chair as a stool, okay? Feet flat on the floor, back is nice and straight, shoulders relaxed, arms by your side, palms on your thighs facing upward like this, or in your lap like this, as long as the palms facing upwards. Back is nice and straight, shoulders relaxed, adjusting as you need to. And breathing in and out, in through the nose, out through the mouth, gently, deeply and fully, with a sense of ease and lightness. Gently, deeply and fully, in through the nose, out through the mouth, in your own time. Breathing in and out, gently, deeply and fully, with a sense of ease and lightness in your own time, allowing thoughts in the mind to simply come and go. Slowing down to the present moment and noticing the breath, the cool of the air as you breathe in, and the warmth of the air as you breathe out, breathing in and out, gently, deeply and fully in your own time. Back is nice and straight, adjusting if you need to, shoulders relaxed, settling into the breath and allowing thoughts in the mind to simply come and go, allowing yourself to let go of thoughts of the future and thoughts of the past. They will still be there in time to come. As you're breathing in and out, give yourself permission to simply sit and breathe with nothing else to do. Slowing down to the breath and slowing down to the present moment and noticing the breath and noticing the body, the physical space in which you are taking up right here and now. As you breathe in and out, back is nice and straight, shoulders relaxed, noticing the muscles around your forehead, your eyes, your ears, your cheeks, your nose, your lips, your jaw, and giving permission for those muscles to relax as you're breathing in and out. Back is nice and straight, shoulders relaxed, allowing thoughts in the mind to simply come and go. Noticing your neck and your shoulders and giving permission for those muscles to relax. Noticing your back, your upper back, the middle of your back, right down to your lower back, and see if you can notice any aches or pains or knots in your back as you're breathing in and out, in through the nose, out through the mouth, gently, deeply and fully in your own time, allowing thoughts in the mind to come and go. Noticing your arms by your side, the tops of your arms right down to your elbow, your forearm, your palms, your fingertips. And noticing as you're breathing in and out, your chest and your belly, and noticing if they're rising and falling with each breath that you take. Breathing in and out and noticing the chair underneath you and where it's supporting you. Maybe even rock side to side once or twice as you feel where the chair is supporting you underneath, and noticing how and where it's supporting you. Breathing in and out and noticing your legs, your thighs, your knees, your shins, your calves, and your ankles. Breathing in and out, back is nice and straight, allowing thoughts in the mind to come and go. And noticing the cool of the air at the tops of your feet and the floor underneath, under your feet, and maybe even as you're breathing in and out, gently pressing against the floor with the balls of your feet and feeling the floor there underneath you. Very good. All you're doing right now is sitting and breathing with nothing else to do, breathing in and out. Very good. Back is nice and straight, shoulders relaxed, allowing thoughts in the mind to simply come and go. Very good. Now imagine as you're breathing in and out a tracing made up of light that is tracing the outline of the shape of your body right now in space and time, tracing the outline of your head, your shoulders, your arms, your body, your legs, and with each breath, that tracing made up of light is shining brighter and brighter and brighter, breathing in and out. Very good, very good. Now sending this message from your heart, as if your heart had lips to speak these words with each breath, not from the mind, but from the heart, these words with each breath. I offer my gratitude for the well-being I have been given. I offer my gratitude for this earth I have been given. I offer my gratitude for the health I have been given. I offer my gratitude for the family and friends I have been given. I offer my gratitude for the community I have been given. I offer my gratitude for the teachings and lessons I have been given. I offer my gratitude for the life I have been given. Sending this message now again from your heart to your body, from your heart, not from your mind, but from your heart. Thank you. Thank you for carrying me this long, long, long way. I wish for myself peace and happiness. I allow myself to receive all the support that the world is wanting to give to me. I am worthy to receive it. Breathing in and out, back is nice and straight, shoulders relaxed. Let the breath fill you just like water filling a dry riverbed in all its nooks and crannies. Sitting, breathing, being with nothing else to do. Imagining inside of your heart that there is a candle shining its light into the world, and with each breath, giving oxygen for that candle to shine its light brighter and brighter and brighter. Shining, emanating with each breath. Listen to the sound of this bell as you're sitting and breathing and being with nothing else to do. 2 more deep breaths. 2 more deep breaths. Very good. In your own time, gently and in your own time, as you're ready, opening your eyes and coming back to the room. Very good. Very, very, very good. You might want to stretch. I usually do after a good sitting. If you've got some water nearby, maybe have a sip of water. I wonder how you feel. Yeah, have a good stretch. That is available for you at all time, right? At all times, it's available for you, right? And hopefully it has you energized. I know that, I can certainly feel emotional, at times, particularly when I'm, connecting with the part of me that's so grateful for so many people, right, in my life and so many things. And it's just a wonderful thing to do, right? Hopefully it gives you the energy, right? And hopefully it gives you a sense of being able to, from time to time, just to put this, metaphorically speaking, down, even for a few moments, to see if it helps you, if it refreshes you, if it energizes you. And of course, all of those other benefits are great and wonderful, but even if it's just, this, it's wonderful in any case. And I really hope that was helpful for you. Believe it or not, I think we meditated for something like 10 minutes. So I'm sure it didn't feel like that, at least for some of you. And I hope that was helpful for you. So I might hand it back to Usman now, but I'll share these materials, and I'll share a link with you for some guided meditations that are free and available online by a lady called Tara Brach, who has some free guided meditations that go for like 2 minutes up to like 45 minutes. And hopefully that's helpful for you. Wonderful.
Thank you very much, Peter, for such an amazing session. And I think it definitely helped sort of calm me down personally, and slow me down, which is something that's hard to do. It's amazing. And we are really grateful to you as well for coming and for sharing, this sort of like work that you've been doing for such a long time with founders. So really, really grateful for that, and for all your time and support that you give to Catalysr and to the broader startup ecosystem. So thank you for that. As I said, we're really grateful to have you as a part of this ecosystem, and would love to sort of have you back again at some point in time.
Absolutely.
In the meantime, for everyone else, if you guys want to stick around and maybe do a bit of debrief for the next 5-10 minutes, that's also fine.